Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 80 of the SWW Show. It's me, AJ. I got Mike along with me. 80's a lot.
What? And I'm what?
Yeah, you're Mike. That's what I said.
Hello? Hello? Do you hear me okay?
Yeah. Actually, before we get started, you don't know I'm going to do this. As we are recording this, we are like 24 hours post like a kind of domestic terrorist attack out in Idaho. So
Yeah, that is true.
condolences to the families that were affected and all those in the Coeur d'Alene area out there. That's never a good thing to have happen. And
So I'm not gonna. I kind of saw it happen, and this is obviously, as you said, the day after. Is my understanding correct in the sense of basically it seems like a fire was either faked or happened, and then the people basically called out to make this happen? Is that what I was understanding correctly?
all
Like this was like a set up attack, right?
yes, all signs point to the as they're saying it's just a solo attacker now. There's nothing so far to suggest that there were more than one. But yeah, it sounds like this solo individual went out and started a fire. I don't know if they called it in or somebody else called it in.
And that's fair. I just literally, I figured from the fire to the part, it seemed like that was part of the understanding. Was like this was kind of all set up purposely.
Was waiting for first responders, ended up killing two, shooting at least two others. So, yeah, just a shitty situation. We're recording this the week leading into 4th of July. It's like I say, it's a shitty situation. Like, there's now two families that every 4th of July week, they're going to remember this. And
yeah,
yeah.
No, I agree. It's like obviously I'm from Illinois, and like the Highland Park one I always think of now from a couple of years ago. Like there's like things where it's like, oh yeah, everyone kind of has one sooner or later. Like some event you think of.
So, yeah, they're unfortunately becoming a little too common.
Yeah.
So, like I say, condolences to those families affected, and yeah.
We will hope that events like this to become more common.
Yeah, if you need help or people that need help, there's resources out there. I believe it's 988 is the suicide hotline.
Yes, I think you are right.
And that's also great because they can point you to mental health resources as well. So there are other options out there rather than thinking you have to do something like that. So
no, I completely agree, and then we will especially keep the family of those of this happened to kind of in our thoughts. Jumping, I guess, into
how do we pivot?
Yeah,
I was thinking about that all day today. I'm like, I kind of wanted to say something as we start the show, but then how do we pivot out of that? There's no good.
We're gonna pivot like how the Oscars does in memoriam and cut to a commercial break.
I wish.
Like that. I don't clear it. We obviously condone this horrible act. We hope the best for the family of all of those tragic victims. So, but yeah, jumping I guess into I would say less depressing, but the game we're about to talk about is depressing in its own right. So it says here that you have been exploring the beach a bit. In this Death Stranding 2.
Actually, I haven't been to the beach yet.
Ah. You have not been to the beach. But yes, Death Stranding 2 on the beach. Tell us about the lack of sandy areas then.
Well, okay, it's not entirely true. The game takes place, for the most part, in Australia. You start on the western coast, so there is some beach. The beach, that's not the beach they're referencing. That's if you don't know the story of Death Stranding, it's just easier to say I haven't been to the beach. It is in many ways a vast improvement over Death Stranding 1. And really not many, at least that I've seen. I'm about 15 hours in. I'm in chapter 6 to give people kind of an idea of where I'm at. As of right now, there's not a lot that I would point to as being worse in this.
So there is
really,
stuff?
if anything. So it is a major improvement. The story's easier to understand. They don't try to dump a bunch of shit on you and never explain it. They have a codex that alerts you when a new phrase has been discussed.
How many of these phrases are like made up things fully?
Oh, it's a lot of it. So you're able to just go, oh, hey, they just mentioned timefall. What's timefall? You can hit start and then, or hold start, and then immediately pulls up that entry in the codex. And you can read about it, then you can go back to the cutscene that they were talking about it in. To have that context of what the discussion is all about. And they do a really cool thing where as you learn more, those entries get updated.
Oh, that actually is pretty cool. Like, so, like, does it tell you the updated entry, or do you have to like go back and know it?
It will alert you that there is a update to the entry, but it won't pop up being like, hey, there's more explanation on timefall. You know, you can go check it out.
I hope to put out, how much does timefall just sound like a villain plot of like a Mission Impossible? They're trying to like it kind of sounds like they're trying to trigger timefall to be like a thing that like a villain would be trying to trigger.
Well, the funny thing
like
is,
a secret plot.
It totally sounds like, you know, an early 90s mistranslation from Japanese to English. But that's not the case.
It definitely does.
So, yeah, I mean, like, I got a vehicle within 3 hours, if that.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't do a ton of walking before you get access to a
Remind me, Death Stranding 1, did you have vehicles early?
Yeah. Early?
Okay.
I'm trying to remember how early on you got the motorcycle, the tricycle. I think it was a few major plot points or major points in, whereas like you've got the bike before you even leave Mexico, which is the tutorial. So you've got it pretty early on, and then you're not far off. You're probably another 3 hours to getting the pickup. So I'd say within 6 hours you've got both vehicles.
Mm.
Which I think for one, it was past the 10-hour mark when I finally got the truck. So, and now there's the two vehicles, there's still the roads, the zip lines are massively improved, and now there's a monorail system. So there's like 3 to 5 different ways to get around, depending on what you have. So, and I don't know how people that are playing that are listening to this have had their worlds kind of connected, but as soon as I think it was as soon as I unlocked the area where you get the ability to build roads, or it's like it's told to you that you can build roads. As soon as I brought them online, there was already a pretty decent amount of work done for the road network. So I'll be curious to see. I'll have a few days off from playing it to see if people are catching up to where I'm at with the infrastructure, because there's definitely, like, you can tell when you start to outpace the rest of people in this game.
Yeah, that's been interesting, like, because the whole point, right, is that it's connected and there's stuff you see from other, like,
Yeah.
What is that fine line of you're playing your game, like, the world is yours in this one versus, like, it is truly a shared world at this point?
As far as I know, it pulls in okay, I don't know about two, but for one, it was priority over your friends list, who's playing on your friends list, and then it was like your region, and then it went worldwide.
So and there's just a limit, right? It was where the back end was, I assume.
Yeah, there was just like, hey, do you have friends that are in this area? No? Okay, well then, are there people from your region that have done anything here?
No, okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
So, yeah, we'll see. There's a few areas where I would be curious, because there's a trophy to build your first section of road and monorail. I haven't built a zipline, so I assume there's a trophy for that. But if you're playing this game 6 months from now and the road network's all built out, how can you 100% this game?
Oh, that's
right. Do you have to keep checking in to see if a road section's been destroyed and then?
Well, like, well, I would assume it's like the first one where like stuff naturally deteriorates over time, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but so the interesting thing is, like, I'm kind of thinking that it's a shared world with everyone, because everything I'm running into is level 2 or 3. And it's like, the only way you're leveling stuff up that quickly is if a ton of people are dumping resources into it. So it makes me wonder if maybe they if they're doing something where it's like, oh hey, there's, let's call it 100 instances that they're running of the Death Stranding map. Right. On 85 of these maps, there's a generator here. We'll populate that generator with the highest level 1. If there's a level 3, we'll just populate it with level 3s. I wonder if they're doing something like that, or is it just one world?
I would assume it's what you first said, where it's like secretly like a bunch of instances and just kind of,
because I can't imagine
chucking it.
Although that being said, I will say there were a few things that I went past recently that had like 250,000 likes. So it's clear that, I don't know how many people are actually playing this game on the PS5, but for it to get 250,000 likes, which I don't like a ton of stuff in the game because you have to use the touchpad, and I really don't care.
I feel like that's too much work.
Yeah, I really don't care.
No, that is valid. Anything else on the Death Stranding 2 people should know?
I'm just trying to find numbers. It was number 1 in the UK physical. Its sales were 66% lower than Death Stranding 1 physical.
That's physical. It's hard. Like that's fine with physical by itself. It's a hard metric.
Yeah, that's the only. It's just saying, hey, it beat Mario Kart.
It beat Mario Kart.
But yeah.
No, that is fair. Jumping in, I sort of shout again. I've been knocking away through some other stuff, but otherwise, obviously, age-old Oblivion. I think I'm at the end of messing with it, so we'll see. The one I want to shout out, I didn't get a chance to play it, but I did tell the dev I was going to, so I want to shout them out, was Super Farming Board. It's a really cool game that I got keys for, but otherwise, there's a demo out on Steam. And I messed with the demo a bit, and I wanted to shout out to fun little, like, another one of those farming games that I think's worth checking out, and I'm hoping that next time we talk, I'll have some actual chunk of hours into it, so something to keep a note on there. Jumping into what we've seen, though, the first on this list that I want to shout on my end, that I had not seen, I'm positive, is Charlie Wilson's War, which I know me and you kind of talked about on the stream. That movie is not what I expected it to be in the slightest. Have you seen this film?
What, you're telling me you didn't expect to see a dude's dick within the first, like...
So, Charlie Wilson's War, it's wild. It's based upon a real congressman, which when I look up, he's as insane in real life. About a congressman who basically, it's the reason that he's the congressman that, in a lot of ways, is the reason that, like, we funded the Afghanis the way we did. But what I'm saying, what's interesting to me from a character point of view in this film is once we get to the early 2000s, I'd argue, especially at this point, late 2000s, like Tom Hanks transitions, right? From the like, I'm the guy in rom-coms, I'm the like that kind of guy to the like, I'm America's like father type guy. It's really funny to me that we get post-transition and then you go back to being like, fuck it, Tom Hanks is playing what he used to play in like the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And it's such a weird thing to kind of see being like, wow, watching older Tom Hanks be this type of character does kind of throw me off a bit.
I just love the idea that this, you want to talk about a stacked cast, like your two mains are Tom Hanks coming off of, this was 2007, so hold on, I'm pulling up.
Yeah, so he's coming. Tom Hanks, 07. I know we're past Toy Story 2 at this point, but like this is the era of Tom Hanks we're talking. Yeah, this is so 2000 was Castaway.
So before Charlie Wilson's War, it was, that's producer tags.
I know. Tom Hanks has done so much shit.
Actor.
Okay,
there we go.
2000s. Charlie Wilson's War was...
He was in the Simpsons movie, Da Vinci Code.
Da Vinci Code was 06. 04 was Polar Express.
Yeah.
04 was The Terminal. Like we're in the middle of this, like, transit... Like, this is, like, Hanks being the, like, leading actor, but, like, a very specific type of leading actor. And I feel like this film is just a very different character for him.
Yeah. Like, he's coming off of a stretch of Road to Perdition, Catch Me If You Can, Terminal, Polar Express, Cars, Da Vinci Code, and then Charlie Wilson's War, and it's like, holy shit.
You know, it's a slap in the face almost of now. Also, jumping to say, it's a fun movie. I don't know if I generally really like this film. I just think it's like a very fun film to probably see is right to tell people. And it was like streaming on Netflix. I saw it.
Yeah,
versus being one I would go check out.
Yeah. It's fun, but I'm not going to say it's a must watch.
Yeah, it's definitely not a must watch. So I wanted to shout that out.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the thing we talk about, obviously, I've been messing around seeing all of the Mission Impossible, always a good chunk of Mission Impossible films. 3 with Philip Seymour Hoffman, I will stick with, is probably the most fun villain in that series, even though he's kind of a very cartoony villain by today's even standards. So if people haven't, as we always tell people, go check out the Mission Impossible series. Always a great time. Let's jump in. We have 2 new films here on the list, though. Let's start with you. You have seen now F1, the movie.
The dumbest name ever.
How is F1 the film not confused with yeah, and really, like, if I just hear this, it sounds like a documentary or like a race. Like, it doesn't sound like a film. It's absurdly
if they
dumb
just
name.
called this movie Formula One, I think that would have worked a lot better.
Yeah, so you've seen F1. Tell us about the not Formula One, but F1 the movie.
I mean, it is F1. It is Formula One, like, through and through. They do some really, like, if you're a racing fan, maybe don't go into this movie with high expectations. If you know much about,
Which is funny because racing to me at this point is the easiest. We use sports in whatever term you use it, but like, it's the easiest sport to put onto the big screen from a like cinematic presentation point of view.
yeah, car goes fast.
Car goes fast. Put cameras in car. Put cameras next to car. You're good. Like, you do have done car chase scenes for how many generations?
Yeah, like, and to be truthful, like, there are a lot of very good things that this movie does. Like, it is visually amazing. The sense of speed is great. The sound design is very good. But it's like, they do some of the hokiest shit you could imagine in terms of the storyline. And the thing that boggles my mind is you have, I think it's 7 or 8 F1 personnel that work on this movie as producers. And you're cool with this story? Like, of a team, like, fixing multiple races? You're just cool with that? Like, I wasn't watching the sport, but I was around to remember the '08 Crashgate, where there are people still banned for life because of that. Of a team fixing a race.
Mm-hmm.
And this entire movie, it's like, oh, hey, we can't win because our car sucks ass, so let's fix the race as best we can to get into position to win. And you just look at it and you go, I'm watching it the whole time going, this team wouldn't have made it out of the first race they were in.
So, real question, because this is based on not a real story, right?
Correct. Well, so it's weird because what they do is they superimpose the cars onto real footage from time to time. Of like, oh, hey, we want this battle between, you know, the Ferrari of Leclerc, and there was a shot from, you know, a battle with Leclerc, but it was another car. And so they went in and they digitally superimpose the Apex GP car in that spot. As well as they were actually on track a bunch during, I believe it was the 23 season. Maybe.
No, I was kind of Googling it. It seems like that, and it looked like they messed with some like Formula 2 and 3 stuff kind of in test footage too, which is interesting.
Yeah, it was a Formula 2 car that they used. So it wasn't an actual like true F1 car. Nobody noticed. Like, you know, it's roughly the same size. you can do a lot of camera trickery to make it look identical. So nothing too crazy there, but so yeah, I mean it's got the forced romance storyline, but it doesn't feel too like you can tell it's forced, but they do a halfway decent job of it.
So what I was going to ask also, do you think it would have played better or whatever if it was truly a real story they did, like how Ford vs Ferrari was like more based action on the real story and they just kind of made it cinema-y? Or do you think this works better because it's not like a real thing? It's just like moments.
I think part of it is there are so many fans now of F1 because of Drive to Survive. If you did a historical setting, it's a little tougher because, you know, the DTS fans don't know the Senna Prost, the Senna, even Senna Mansell, like some of the rivalries that happened in like the 80s and 90s, which would be a perfect era to do a movie in because it is utterly insane. You know, the late 80s to 94 was some of the craziest times in Formula One. So I think they could have done a Rush-esque movie set, you know, like in that timeline. Obviously, Rush was set in the late 70s. So it's not too much later than Rush, but the cars are way faster. Like, there's all the cigarette money left and right. Like, everyone was partying, you know, partying their ass off. In that, so, which I will say, I was very surprised. They have some historical footage, and they have the cars with the correct liveries.
Really?
So they have the McLaren with the Marlboro along the side. They have the Williams with the camel livery. Which are really the only ones that you see. And so I was happy to see that because I'm like, they could easily take the coward's way out and do like how they've done recently, where there was an era after the tobacco ban in 2004 where the teams just took that off of their historical cars. So like if you went to the McLaren Museum, which is at the MTC, the cars on display had the Marlboro color scheme, but they didn't have Marlboro anywhere on the car. Basically,
I guess that's fair because the color scheme wouldn't be blocking, correct. Or they'd be very specific on it.
Yeah. Ferrari did, by all accounts, the same thing. Although they were pushing the advertising as much as they could, which is a really fun story. And in recent years, McLaren specifically has started to return some of those cars to period liveries. So they're putting the Marlboro back on. It sounds like maybe they have two versions of the car. So if like there's a school group coming by, they roll out the one without the tobacco advertising on it. But if you go just normal, it'll have it. So they could have done that. In fact, the funny thing is, the McLaren Technical Center is used as the home base of Apex GP. So there's some like old McLarens in back of shot that are just there.
Is there?
It's funny. Like, if you know what it is, it's very apparent. And I just have to laugh, but yeah, it's a little long. It's 2.5 hours. But it moves pretty well. So, yeah.
Nice. Well, jumping transition of a film way shorter, but does not move as well. May I introduce you to Karate Kid Legends?
How long is that?
96 minutes with credits.
Okay, so 90 minutes without.
90 minutes, yeah, about 90 minutes. Yeah, it's a film. So I'm gonna give light spoilers for this film. Nothing heavy, but light spoilers. So if you pull up like trailers over this film, right, as you can imagine, the trailer's all about Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, sure, you know, there's a new kid in there. Like it's like you expect them to be as the senior person, kind of the background thing, right? Ralph Macchio's in this film, I think, for 10 minutes. I think literally for 10 minutes. There's an entire subplot about like a different guy having to box because he started borrowing money from like a Russian mob. Like,
okay.
I don't fully understand what they were thinking on this one. But no, I want to obviously the people who are great, as you mentioned, in Karate Kid are great, of like Jack Chan or Macchio. I think the new kid, who I think this is his first film. I think it was like one of those where it's like introducing type film of Ben Wong was really good in this film. He's the new Karate Kid. This is a film though. What's weird is, so I said there's the like weird subplot, which is like the first third of the film. Then you go into like what your picture Karate Kid, or like you're going towards a tournament, and like there's some of that stuff gets really fun, but like it's really weird because it almost feels like this is the first film I think I've seen in theaters where it feels like I'm gonna describe it as like TikTokified. It's like this thing of like they're just cutting transitions or just doing a jump to a thing, be like, and now we're here, like it's almost like. It almost does feel like it's the type of film that was made for being like, here's the moment, or here's the chunk, or like it's this thing of like, sure, this tight budget, but like, why didn't you just put like shots here, or so like, you're still in New York City, like put a background shot, like why is it weird, like, and now we're jumping type moment just to like speed it up, and I don't fully understand what they were thinking. So, yeah. Karate Kid Legends, I think it's about.
I will ask, like, what was your expectation?
I'm not going to say I walked in expecting it to be great, but the asterisk I'll give is I really do enjoy Cobra Kai a lot, and if it was more like big budget Cobra Kai or like just an episode of it on a movie screen, I've been fine with. With this, to me, probably in tone, feels closer to the 2010 Karate Kid than the original series.
Interesting.
So that's to me kind of where it's interesting of like, yeah, because Cobra Kai, like, it's the wink and nod of, it does the thing of like, sure, our world's crazy, but we all pretend it's serious. But like, the world is just insane because everyone's obsessed with karate, and I kind of wish it was more that a bit more, where this is just like. But the only answer I'll give is like this major tournament I just said is fought on skyscrapers in New York City. There are moments of these fights I go, these kids are gonna fucking fall off the side of the building. So that is the one cool shot I'll give it. So, but yeah. Karate Kid Legends. Jumping down to some news. First, on my film news, I at least wanted to shout out because we got a bunch of cast news on this one, but I think this is the funniest of the cast news. So Street Fighter, if you Google, you'll get a bunch of casting, right, including Jason Momoa, a few others. Roman Reigns is in it. But the Street Fighter, let's be honest, the true star of Street Fighter is going to be 50 Cent. Will be in Street Fighter. We'll be playing a Balrog. What is your opinion of either 50 Cent as him, or like how that cast is kind of going more generally speaking?
I'm curious. I forgot to look. Did is okay. He is going by Joe Hanoi. I couldn't remember if Roman was going under
if
his actual name or if
he's going under 50 Cent.
What's that?
What were you saying?
I wasn't sure if Roman Reigns was going to be billed as Roman Reigns or.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because WWE seems to have been looser on that recently. Well, like, right, go back 10 years. I feel like they would have been like, "You're going as this."
I think it has to do with people owning their names.
I guess fair, but like, I would assume like Roman Reigns' contract at this point would be written in a way where like he has to schedule around, like, film things around, like WWE events. Where like you think they'd be a little more integrated in that.
Also, Orville Peck is going to be Vega.
That is true. It's all out.
The fuck. There are only 3 confirmed cast members so far. They are Orville Peck, 50 Cent, and Kalina Liang.
I thought Roman Reigns was a confirmed cast member.
Nope. Jason Momoa, Noah Centineo, Andrew Koji, and Joe Hanoi are all rumored still.
That's God. What is going to be a more wild cast? This or like Mortal Kombat 2 is going to be around the same time?
MK2's cast could be insane.
I stick with Carl Urban is the most insane correct choice for that cast.
For MK2?
For MK2. Like, that is the type of casting that we would dream of.
Yeah.
So yeah, we will keep an eye on that one. Jumping down, speaking of Cobra Kai, I had to shout out because once in a while you read stuff and you have to like double check what is being said. So it's a BuzzFeed quote I pulled, but you can find it anywhere. Basically, so obviously Cobra Kai has now ended. So there's, at this point, especially some of the actors, let's be honest, are going to festivals and cons or whatever. And so Martin Grove is one of the actors on Cobra Kai. He is most famously being Kreese from Karate Kid, so he's like the original mentor of Cobra Kai. And one of his co-stars, they did like a fun picture where like apparently they were playing around, and he bit her apparently so hard on the arm that he drew blood during said picture, and it's now turned into a big public feud. I just want to say the obvious thing here to all actors, future aspiring actors, whatever. If you're in a group picture, even if they're with your co-star, don't bite them and draw blood.
Don't bite them, period.
Which I don't know where I need to find. I don't know if I can find the quote, but she has a Alicia Hannah Kim, she has a great quote here. I'm trying to see about what it is. Something I wish it was on this one. Of basically her saying something along the lines of, "I don't know what goes through your crazy 80-year-old mind." So, but yeah,
I saw something about like, hey, you expect to not get assaulted on set or something like that. And I hadn't seen the story. I just saw like the comment, and I was just like, "The hell."
And then you read the story, you actually like, and especially hear me out too. If you said this was a story and it was like 2 actors who were like teenagers in their 20s, it's almost like the story's more believable. Him being 78 is what makes the story more insane to me.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then our final film news that happened last week is one that we need to discuss here for a second. And I think is a great casting decision. Is Denis Villeneuve is officially our next James Bond director for it would be 26. Or was it 20? Because wasn't 25? No Time to Die.
26, yeah.
So
26 or 27.
Yeah, it's one of the two. What I just couldn't remember if Spectre or No Time to Die was 25. What is your initial? Because it seemed like on the rip, I was way more excited by it than you were of the Denis Villeneuve being the Bond director.
my initial skepticism around it, it's mainly down to just like, I haven't seen him produce, like, he's had good action moments in the Dune series. Don't get me wrong, like, he's directed films with great action sequences. What is his version of a James Bond action sequence, right? Like,
is it more Sicario-y? Is it more? Yeah, no, that's fair. That is the one that is fair. Like, where does he kind of?
Yeah, if he wants to take Bond down a Sicario-esque, like, super dark, like, really revolutionizing the character, I'm all for it. Because
can you imagine like a Prisoner's Violent level Bond?
I mean, Sicario is fucking there. Like, obviously he didn't direct Sicario 2, but you know,
but he definitely laid the groundwork.
He definitely laid the groundwork for a franchise that is heavily violent. I almost wish it would be more of that Sicario methodic violence versus kind of the Dune
Dune's more like the structurally violent, because it's like in a lot of ways it's like
survival,
it's like an uprising. Yeah, it's like they're trying to go kill an infrastructure piece or kill this thing versus like Sicario being a much more like people on people type violence.
Yeah.
Because like think of like when I picture like big Dune set pieces, sure we have the guys flying, but how much of it's like RPG to big thing or what? Like it's kind of like those type of images for a lot of it for the shots.
Yeah. So I guess it'll be interesting if I get yeah. There's too many questions.
There's a lot of questions. I'm still curious who Bond will be, or
for Bond, like that. Giving me a director doesn't move me in any direction because we don't have any direction to build on. So
hear me out though. This didn't push me in a bad direction though. There are directors they could have come out with, and I feel like it could have pushed in a bad direction.
Yeah.
Like, he's a direction that we know can handle a budget, can handle big set pieces. Like, there are things we know he can do and has shown that.
Yeah, they went with an established option.
I would argue Denis Villeneuve, in a lot of ways right now, in a lot of ways is kind of where Nolan was, I'd say 5, maybe 10 years ago, like somewhere in that range of like, he's the like, still the main guy, and he's still like a Hollywood player, but he's like the prestige. It is a triple. It is like a Hollywood blockbuster, but let's be honest, he's closer to the indie style or that kind of guy than like probably a lot of the stuff that you would get from those films, I feel like. And so it's interesting you choose that type of director for this to me.
Yeah.
We shall see, and we'll hopefully learn more this coming year. Okay, let's jump down. We got ourselves a few trailers this month that stood out. We got Fantastic Four: First Steps. We got The Naked Gun, starring Liam Neeson. We got Deliver Me from Nowhere, which is the Bruce Springsteen one, and Project Hail Mary, which I just heard about today. So, do any of these shout out initially for you that stood out?
I mean, I'll go see The Naked Gun. I'm not very hopeful about it. That being said, like, they're very self-aware, so they
were comic. Like, I give them the self-aware is good.
I guess there's some hope that they could do an interesting take on that style of comedy. I think the biggest problem for me is those movies like Airplane, Naked Gun, Police Squad, part of the charm was how cheap they looked.
Yeah.
And the problem now is like, since every film is a, $50 to $100 million film, you're going to spend that money on cameras because it makes sense to at that point. So it almost looks too good. I kind of want this to look a little shitty. And obviously digital
makes it less shitty.
Digital's a lot harder to do that with because, it's not like you have different grades of film that you can choose from. But yeah, I don't know. Like I say, there's definitely a lot of cautious tendencies for this movie around, especially myself, but I'm hesitant to be cautiously optimistic. Because I really worry that this is not gonna work. But
I will.
I mean, who knows?
That's fair. The one I wanted to shout out was "Deliver Me from Nowhere." That's another one that I can't say I really knew a bunch going in, but that trailer looks really good, and I do got a shout out of all the ground of like that is apparently him actually singing when we see Jeremy Allen White like singing stuff with this film.
All right, let's be real. Bruce Springsteen ain't exactly a good singer.
You just said, I think, like, one of the most controversial things I think you've said.
What's that?
The Bruce Springsteen not being a good singer.
He's not.
I don't know if I disagree with that. He has fun songs. I'm not defending his singing, per se.
Like, his voice is not great.
Yeah, he's not exactly the world's best.
Right. It's not like, Shamalama Ding Dong doing Bob Dylan songs. Bob Dylan's voice, not great, but very hard to replicate.
This one I think is like it's decently hard to replicate though.
Bruce?
I think to get him sound right.
It's not a hard. I mean, I don't know what Jeremy Allen White's background is in terms of singing.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't have a background in singing, this is super easy because you just train to sing like Bruce Springsteen. If he's like if he is a trained singer, it's a little harder to do because you have your own singing voice, but then you have to sing in somebody else's voice. So, I mean, I don't know why you think saying Bruce Springsteen isn't a good singer is controversial. Like, if somebody was doing Prince, I'd be like, goddamn, like, good on you. Prince songs are incredibly hard to sing.
No, when do we get the like new generation of Prince? Have we ever gotten? No one's done one, right? You crazy?
Well, there was Prince biopic that he did, but
sure, but I mean like I don't mean
like there hasn't really been anything since he died. But I think part of that is down.
Oh, there was rumors that Ryan Coogler was doing it. It was doing one.
Yeah, and there's a lot of problems around his estate, just being weird. So
we shall see. And jumping now to video games as we get to the tail end here. First, apparently. Also, I appreciate how if you caught that too. My Google trigger, by the way, is pulling it as the Chinese website, which I don't fully
Korean.
Korean.
Yeah, it's Korean.
Which is funny because it's on the English websites. I don't fully understand. But basically, Marathon has been indefinitely delayed and they're going to do a bunch more testing. Real question for you. Do you believe this game comes out / Bungie as a studio still exists and we'll call it 2 years?
Yes and yes.
Really?
Sony will do everything in their power to get that game out. To get some money back.
It is funny to me how Bungie is arguably, at one point, was one of the most renowned studios in the world. At one point was the biggest independent studio in the world, by whatever you want to use that asterisk. And how bad of an operation they actually are is a wild circle.
Yeah.
Because, like, he made, like, BioWare being gutted, a few others, like, it kind of sounds like it was, like, corporate gutting. It wasn't just, like, internally they fell apart. We're, like, Bungie is, like, Bungie fell apart.
Yeah.
It's not like, by any accounts, Microsoft's in there, like, pulling them apart and breaking them. They broke themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, or Sony, but, like, but as in the past, like, or Activision, like, no one broke them.
I do wonder if Bungie... Is Bungie DJ Khaled and suffering from success?
But all he does is win, win, win.
And yeah, I genuinely, like, that's the only thing I can think, right? Is Bungie was so successful, they said to Microsoft, hey, you don't want to do this? All right, we'll go out on our own. Destiny 1 was...
Destiny 1, to be fair. And to be fair, that's when they had Activision, like, meddling. But, like, yeah. Destiny 2 as a product, for the 99% of it, like, was them at a certain point. Like... And, like, it's not just that, though, to me. It's the amount of... Since then... The amount of, like, they apparently can't make stuff. They just, like, have horrible judgment calls. Like, obviously they've slowly been integrated more and more into Sony because they're not hitting things that they thought they would. Like, this is a studio that is a true, what's the name of the ship I'm drawing a blank now? The Infamous. Like, the whole, like, this is studio name only. Like, this Bungie is not the Bungie.
Theopolis.
Yeah. But it's one of those where, like, this just, like, I don't know. Like, at some point, I would make a strong argument that Bungie, at some point, we're just came on for name recognition. I think them being absorbed into Sony, and I mean, like, actually absorbed and pull apart, somehow is better for them. Like, if Bungie was not bought by Sony, I think Bungie would be closed by now. If it was not bought for pieces.
Potentially, yeah.
Like just being like, they said how much they were losing money, and they talk like.
I do wonder, like, you know, this is a reference to a show, so it's kind of funny that it's potentially true. But the team on Silicon Valley, right? Like, they were so successful and then didn't know what to do, and that was their downfall. Is that suddenly they have all the money in the world, so what do? Right, like, how do they keep investors happy? And it's like, if you're Bungie, how do you keep Sony happy?
I always think of the Silicon Valley thing of, what do you mean you could just take less in your funding round?
Yeah. Or, you know, reporting profits, and Russ being like, no, you don't report profits. Or you don't report numbers. Like, you know, if you're the 100xer and suddenly you're the 10xer, like, all the money pulls out. I do wonder if it's some of that, where it's just...
I'm not saying that's a 0% chance. I think there's probably a broader discussion of, obviously, I think we got harder to make, like, I stick with there are real reasons games are hard to make, and there is an arms race part that games are hard to make that people are still just broken into, so they broke their brains.
Yeah, I wonder if, like you say, it's an arms race, but also is this just like Bungie got so big that it wasn't like organic growth over 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
It was an explosion over the course of 5. And suddenly, like, hey, we need to have this HR department because of laws, and, we need to have this leadership structure. As soon as you start to implement that stuff, kind of new scale productivity just takes a nosedive. And for a company like Bungie, where you need to be having that new productivity, that's kind of the death knell. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how do you recover from this? You kind of don't. So, I mean, like, the natural thing would be like, oh, they get bought. Well, they've already been bought. So, what now?
Yeah, and I don't know. And I think the what now is they're going to be pulled apart and eventually. I think maybe you'll get a studio in Sony's so-called Bungie, but I think it will be like a 200 size level type studio type thing.
I mean, BioWare is a great example, right? Like,
yeah,
BioWare got gutted. BioWare exists as a name.
but like it isn't. Yeah, BioWare is a perfect example of like, does it exist? Rocksteady, it still exists.
Yeah, that's another one.
We shall see. This is a quick final of the true news stories. Microsoft, because they do, basically announced that AMD is partnering with them for the next Xbox, which kind of all aligns with probably next year. We're learning more about the hell this thing is. But basically, next one's AMD powered. It kind of goes with all the rumors that the next Xbox is really just a Windows machine, like true Windows machine with like an Xbox flavor running on it. Which it's kind of been the last few years, but like there's not really Windows on your current Xboxes, but like it's very close. So I don't know if the end consumer still are end changes, but I just got to shout out because obviously Microsoft is at least starting to tease whatever is coming next for them. So,
yeah. I don't know. Part of me is like, we're only 5 years into the life cycle of these. Why are you talking about this now?
Yeah, it's especially it's an interesting, like, we're only 5 years, but like the first year or two is very weird. Like of like 2020.
Oh yeah, I mean, we've really only been this generation only for 3 years, probably 2 or 3 years. So yeah, as you say, like early on, the adoption rate was kind of weird because of COVID and scalpers and just inventory issues. So a lot of people were still on PS4, Xbox One. So yeah, like I say, it's just odd to be already saying, hey, our next Xbox is powered by AMD. And it's also going to help power some of our streaming stuff. So, I don't know, is part of this down to, did they sign a contract with AMD and it was going to get out there anyway?
No, and my guess is probably it's probably one of those where like it's either you say it or we have to say it when we the earnings because you're about to give us $100.
Yeah.
So like, which would you prefer? And let's be honest, Microsoft would prefer putting Sarah Bond in a flashy video than AMD saying it like in an earnings briefing.
Yeah.
And it makes sense why they would. It was like, I think it was like Intel. One of the other like chip makers they had like a similar thing of like they had to announce something because it was coming out in quarterly earnings anyway. It is funny to me though that we don't have a big enough discussion in that context of like how many things and like entertainment or technology are announced when they are solely because of quarterly earnings.
Well, shit's gonna
Like,
get announced whether you like it or not, so
that's fair, so you might as well.
they'd rather control the message than have an unreliable narrator out there saying stuff. So
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. This is a, to be fair, we did record these recent, but this is the smallest layoff month so far, and it is the end of June. First one being Mind's Eye apparently laid off basically like a third of their staff. Mind Eye developer built a rocket for it, may have laid off their staff because Mind's Eye, in a shock to no one, didn't sell well nor review well.
it sounds like it didn't sell. Period.
Okay, here we go. This is from IGN. On Steam, which does not paint the whole picture of Mind Eye's currently popularity, the game hit a peak concurrent player count of 3,302 players on launch, but at a 24 peak of just 130 players. At the time of this article's publication, about a week ago, 52 people were playing on Steam, where Mind's Eye has a mostly negative user rating. Yeah. I'm actually curious what your thoughts are at this point. Kind of like, so this was an example of like, as we get to like a studio that like basically launched a game and got hit with layoffs on the spot. Do you think at this point, if you're those developers, you're watching your job kind of, and you know you're about to get hit by it, but even with saying that though, like, I would assume you'd think the same thing if you did think that, like, you wouldn't think this fast, right? You think they at least get a week from launch.
Yeah.
Like, this is an absurd level of, like, game launched, boom.
Yeah, like, why is a week such a big difference?
Right, like, you knew the pre-order numbers, and I guess maybe you really don't want to, like, in case it does sell well, you don't want to lay people off?
Maybe. But what was the number, right? Like, what number would have saved these jobs? Because if you're cutting them that quickly, they were already on the chopping block.
Mm-hmm.
So, what number did Mind's Eye need to sell for those people to continue to have jobs? And I can guarantee you that number was incredibly unreasonable.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember seeing anything advertised about Mind's Eye.
I saw like a few things here or there, but it was not a like. Also, I don't know if you call that too. This is IO Interactive's first publishing.
Yeah, IOI getting this is their first publishing. I feel bad for them.
Yeah. No, I agree. Jumping on to the next layoff. Well, at least pending layoff. So as of now, this layoff is not official, but by all accounts, including Jason Schreier, it's pointing to on Wednesday, July 1st, Xbox is about to have some massive layoffs. The rumors are currently ranging from between like 1,000 to 2,000 people, specifically on the Xbox side. Obviously, it could be thousands more in all of Microsoft, including potential of like the rumors are like Turn 10 potentially on the chopping block. What is there left to gut at Xbox? Like this kind of a weird, interesting thing to me of like Xbox more than anyone. The amount of layoffs they've been having these last few years, like.
You want to know the funniest thing Sony could do right now?
Huh.
If Turn 10 is on the chopping block, like they said,
Turn around.
Make an offer to EA for Codemasters, and then make an offer to Microsoft for Turn 10.
You basically do what they did with what was the Microsoft team they shut down that got reopened back up. You gotta do one of those, basically.
Yeah, just
see what I don't understand is
market, take all of that talent in racing development and put them all into Gran Turismo and just
What
produce all of the racing games.
what I don't understand, isn't Forza like big enough? Why is Turn 10 on the chopping block?
Playground does Horizon.
And Turn 10 did the
Turn
other
10
one.
does Motorsport. So
And Motorsport, is that the one that is not doing as well then?
Motorsport was kind of DOA,
Mm.
which sucks because I prefer circuit racing. So I prefer like, you know, your Gran Turismo is your Forza Motorsports, your grids over the
So it does make sense. In my head, they had two studios that does it.
yeah.
Yeah, I could kind of
Yeah,
see that as
Playground does
one.
Horizon, so I think a lot more people enjoy the Horizon style than the Motorsport style.
I also did not realize they bought Playground only in 2018.
Yeah, the first, I think, 2 Horizon games were contract games.
Yeah, I just never, because they've been so integrated with them always, I just never processed that they were not fully part of the family. So, but yeah, we will see. We're hoping the best for everyone. God, I don't know how to even respond to. And we're just going to see how bad the blood is on Wednesday. And then final playoff news of the month. This broke this morning. So the mystery mate that came out last year, we had Cyan Worlds made it, and that was, I think they called a ton of their workforce 2 months after release. They did more layoffs, so keep an eye out. Hopefully those people land on their feet. Jumping down to games that come out the rest of this year. We have Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 coming out on July 11th. Donkey Kong Bonanza comes to Switch 2 on July 17th. Grounded 2, it's the preview edition, but it's basically the version of early access, comes out on July 29th. Mafia: The Old Country comes out on August 8th. Gears of War Reloaded comes out, including on PlayStation, August 26th. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater comes out on August 28th. Borderlands 4 comes out on September 12th. Marathon is not accurate anymore. I need to remove that one. Ghost of Yote comes out on October 2nd, and then Pokemon Legends Zeta A comes out to the Switches on October 16th. Do any of those stand out to you, or anything's changed since last month we talked?
Pro Skater 3 and 4 still look interesting. Mafia: The Old Country, I'm curious about.
Yeah, I'm gonna be because it's such a different. We've talked about this before. It's like not a full game, at least in the way people I think are expecting Mafia games to be a full game. So I'm gonna be very curious what they think. So.
Especially because like this is the first product since Mafia 3 that isn't a remake.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So,
I'll be curious how much a new Mafia actually sells or doesn't sell. Also. So.
Yeah, the sales numbers for that are going to be
very telling. Because, like, it's one of those where, like, I'd be a little scared of all those random 2K studios right now. So, but we shall see. And then finally, we got some films coming out. I trolled through the treasure troves of films coming out in July, which, fun fact, any of these films, apparently, the rumors is that the Nolan trailer for Odyssey is just fronting, or is like the back trailer and basically every new July release. So, exciting times. But the films this month I would vote would be Jurassic World Rebirth, Superman, and Fantastic Four. Which way would you like to be punished this month?
I don't know. I kind of want to be punished watching a movie shot in Cleveland, so Superman.
Also, let's be honest. So actually, I don't know. I would assume that Superman's gonna be the best of these 3 films. Would you not?
Yeah, that's my assumption.
Like, I actually do think Fantastic Four has a shot. Don't get like of being a decent film, but like the Jurassic World reviews came out today, and I do not see a world where either of these two films review as poorly as Jurassic World, or it probably will be as bad of films as those are.
Yeah, dude. Like, I genuinely don't like Fantastic Four with a. I mean, it's a pretty old cast, isn't it? Like,
It. You mean like age wise?
yeah.
Yeah, no, I think you're. The Fantastic Four, First Step, stars Vanessa Kirby. She's probably the one of the younger. Actually, it's
Joseph
not.
Quinn's probably the youngest.
Actually, those are the two I pulled. Joseph Quinn is 31. Vanessa Kirby is only 37.
And
She's younger than I actually remember she is.
Vanessa Kirby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I used to get that she really became big the last couple years.
Yeah.
Like it was right before the pandemic, and then all of her movies were like post-pandemic, like the ones people talk about. Then to be fair, I actually did not realize how old Eben Moss Bachrach is. I guess he was a Rotan about him, does that make sense? Yeah, because like Pedro Pascal's 50, he's 48. Vanessa Kirby is 30. So like, the main two of the main protagonists are in their 30s.
So.
Oh, we shall see. But that's all.
And admittedly, like, it's kind of giving an old vibe.
Yeah, and obviously, yeah.
It's not like super unheard of, but Jurassic World Rebirth, like, yeah, I don't know. And then Superman, I think, has the biggest swing.
Yeah, no, that's right. It could be a dud. I'm not guaranteed, but like I do think there's a general world where Superman could be very decent.
Yeah.
Like it has the potential for a good Superman film on paper.
Yeah.
Like who it stars, who's directing it, kind of. I think the trailers have at least gotten a good image, but like to be fair, Man vs. Steel has very good trailers.
Yeah. Speaking of Superman, I'm currently looking at a photo where Kenny Omega, MJF, and
oh yeah, the
Nicholas
Superman
Holt
stuff
and Superman are standing next to each other. Either Nicholas Holt is a giant, or Kenny and MJF are way shorter than I thought.
I think Nicholas Holt is actually a giant.
So, I mean, because he's a good, I don't know, half a head taller. It says 6'3". And if that's the case, Kenny Omega's 5'10".
Mm.
MJF is 5'9". So, remember, folks, wrestlers are smaller than you think.
This is true. That's how they're good at their job. Whenever I see, like, there are multiple times where I've seen wrestlers like near enough in person. I'm like, yeah, no, they are smaller than you think. Now, to clarify, a lot of them can still kill you, but they're smaller than you think.
Yeah, I've stood next to John Cena, and he is not 6 feet tall.
It's funny to me. Sometimes it is like the wrestlers that are the most like unquotes manly, like those type of wrestlers, are some of the.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is all we have for this month. So thank you everyone for joining us. Enjoy your 4th of July weekend, which is happening as this comes out. AJ will be probably neck deep in some beer as this posts. I don't know. This will come out at 9 a.m. I don't think you'll be drunk yet, but maybe a few hours after.
Yeah, potentially.
It is Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And on that note, we'll catch all of you next time.